I hate changing the resin in my 3D printer, especially when I want to do different colored effects for different prints. Fortunately, I'm here to tell you that I have scoured the internet, YouTube, Reddit, and I found a technique that works beautifully to create effects like this, or things like this, maintaining translucency, but allowing you to put any color onto it that you want. For this process, I am using Tech's water washable simple clear resin. And outside of its very specific curing process, the resin's been really nice. It's been stable, it's been clear, it's been printing well. I did mess up a couple prints because I overcured it, overwashed it. And I do want to test other clear resins in the near future. But for this is exactly what we need to do. And the process is going to be the same outside of the post-processing and printing details. Don't worry, off the print bed, it's not clear, but it's a very simple fix. I'm going to be using All-Clad 2 lacquer, a clear coat. This is going to bring back all of that transparency and translucency back into the print itself. I'm just going to start liberally applying this clear coat all over the entire piece. And as you can see, and even just one pass on the top, it fills in all of the imperfections and brings back the transparency in the finished print. Now, if I wanted to take this even further, I could have sat and sanded it and then did like a wet sand to really clear out a lot of that surface imperfections. But for these purposes, I find that just a couple coats of this clear coat is all that I needed. Now, I will be painting on top of this and sometimes be adding clear coat again as a final step. I will say I am using lacquer, so make sure that your lacquer has fully cured before applying acrylic paint on top to make sure that your paint adheres properly. Now that we've applied a couple coats of the clear and it's had time to dry and cure, we can move on to the painting process. For the little bits of energy, I used Vallejo's Model Color fluorescent paints. They lend themselves really well to this technique. The paint itself is fairly transparent, so with a brush, you can very easily apply it over the surface of your object to create the desired effect. Now for the little ones, I use green, but for this example, I'm using orange just to show you that any of their fluorescent paints can be used in this technique. Now, you can use any other type of fluorescent paint you want. I just happen to like the Vallejo paint. All I'm going to do is grab a paintbrush, grab the print, and start applying it to the surface. Now, if I want it to feel more transparent, I would focus the paint into the thicker regions while leaving the thinner regions a little more transparent. Or in this case scenario, I like the vibrancy and the pop of everything, so I saturate the entire piece. As you can see, the result is pretty nice. You maintain a fair bit of translucency, the paint itself is still kind of glossy, and you have the clear coat underneath, giving it a nice shine. And when compared next to each other, they both work. Now, on the larger bits of energy, I was using a much more flat paint. Now, I tried doing some washes, but I wasn't getting as clean as a result as I was when brushing on the fluorescent paint, so I opted to use my airbrush, which worked out really nicely. All I did was load up the paint into the airbrush and made sure that I was working in light, quick bursts. Initially, I focused my paint heavily onto the thicker areas where I wanted more color to show through, and then blended the thinner areas that were very transparent with a slight amount of color. Now, as you can see, the matte paint made the finish on this piece a little more matte, but the translucency is still showing through. You can see the areas where I left some pigment out to maintain transparency and focused heavily in the areas of the thicker areas to add the color. But when compared to one of the finished pieces, you can see it just looks a lot nicer once that gloss factor has been returned. So very simply, we're just going to do another quick pass or two of clear coat on top of this paint. Now be careful, if things aren't cured and you're painting lacquer over acrylic, you might be lifting some of the paint that's underneath. So just be a little careful while you're painting. After that, we did final assembly, and I gotta say, I'm very pleased with the final results of how this came out. One resin, any color effect that I want to do, including full figures. Amazing. Now, of course, there are 100 different ways to skin this cat. And after doing like a week's worth of research, I found that this technique works great for me. I get to use one resin, I don't have to mess with dyes. I do want to play with some more ink-based paints for translucent effects instead of having to go back and forth with the acrylic and the lacquer to achieve the effect. But for now, I can use any color that I want and achieve beautiful results. Now, of course, if you like this tutorial and you want to see more, please hit that like or subscribe. I paint live all the time, and we are going to unveil our next project, which I believe might involve a really tall man with a dagger and an ant. Come by and check it out. And as always, go out there, make something cool. It's fun.